President Obama's high-stakes challenge over Syria, facing an uphill fight with the Congress over his call for a military strike. He will square off today with Russian President Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl is traveling with the president in St. Petersburg. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. President Obama arrived here in St. Petersburg, Russia, just a short while ago, just as Russian President Vladimir Putin has upped his war of words with the U.S., accusing the Obama administration of lying about Syria.
President Obama did not come here to St. Petersburg to meet with his nemesis Vladimir Putin, but to attend a summit of world leaders. But Putin is the host of the summit, and the two will undoubtedly exchange a few words and a handshake or two. Their first face-to-face encounter since Russia granted asylum to one of America's most wanted fugitives, NSA leaker Edward Snowden. But the biggest source of tension today is Syria. President Obama Wednesday challenged the world to support his call for a military strike against Syria for using chemical weapons, noting that they have been banned under international law for nearly a century.
I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line.
The president said Russia's efforts to block action against Syria have had deadly consequences.
I think that international action would be much more effective, and ultimately we can end deaths much more rapidly if Russia takes a different approach to these problems.
The resolution is agreed to.
The president won a narrow victory on Capitol Hill late Wednesday when the Senate Foreign Relations Committee approved a resolution authorizing the president to attack Syria. Secretary of State John Kerry urged the House to support the resolution, but he found himself under attack from President Putin, who in remarks carried on Russian television accused him of lying about the presence of al-Qaeda among the Syrian rebels.
Even as the president attends the summit here in Russia, his staff is intently focused on the debate back in Washington, where growing opposition from conservatives and liberal Democrats in the House, usually some of his closest allies, has threatened to make passing that resolution authorizing force against Syria even more difficult than they had thought.
And John, that begs the question of what the president would do if the resolution goes down. When I talked to Secretary of State Kerry on Sunday, he seemed to suggest that the president would strike no matter what, but that's not exactly what you're hearing.
That's right, George. The public posture remains the same, that the president retains the right, the authority to attack Syria regardless of what Congress does. But the belief among his senior aides is that if Congress rejects this resolution, the president would almost certainly not go forward with a military strike on Syria.
Raising the stakes even more. Okay, John Karl, thanks very much.